I mean, but yeah, going to the whole you believe you came from rocks thing. It's like you believe we were made out of mud. God
At
spat
least,
in the dirt and made us like clay.
Yeah, but they'll say, well, at least mine is, a faith-based thing, therefore so is yours. It's like, no, it's not. And,
Those guys are just parroting guys like Kent and Eric Hobind and all that whole ICR group, where that's what they have to rely on that to make ours a faith-based position because, well, you believe this. Well, no, I don't believe we came from a rock. Why don't you ask me what I believe, and I'll tell you. But it ain't got nothing to do with a rock.
Well, the thing is, we do kind of hand it to them that they can make the case that science is faith-based because everything is provisional, and we'll admit to it. So we have to, quote-unquote, take things on faith. It's a bullshit, of course, but...
It's a different definition of the word faith, and this is where the problem comes in.
That's the problem. It's an equivocation problem, then, if you allow that. It's two different meanings of the word faith.
Well, exactly, but that's what they do. They interchange everything.
I actually did at one point, and this was actually over Ventrilo. I was playing a game with a bunch of folks, and one of the guys there turned out to be one of these little creationists, and I ended up trying to get into a conversation with him about it, because I'm like, what the fuck? Because he said atheism is a religion. And that was the point at which I'm like, okay, we're having a conversation now. And I sat him down, I'm like, okay, well, what the hell, here's the real question, what in your mind constitutes a religion? And by that time we were done. Communism is a religion. Being conservative is a religion. Everything, anything,
Max
any kind of ideology, anything could be.
Plate tectonics is religion?
Plate tectonics, yes, it's a religion. Everything's a fucking religion. I'm like, at that point, what is the value in naming anything a religion? It's just as idiotic as Bionic Dance's whole, rocks are atheist shit by that point. You've taken all meaning away from the word. It's just this useless term now.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not actually feisty and raising my voice. I'm sick.
Yeah, we caught that last night.
Oh, gosh.
You sound terrible.
Oh, yeah. Oh, at one point yesterday, there was somebody who said, like, man, you're getting really pissed. I'm like, I'm not pissed. I can't fucking talk. Holy shit. I've been on the cusp of losing my voice for days, which was fun making that video of the puppets.
Oh.
All the puppets, I'm sitting there doing everything I can to adjust the pitch of the voices of the puppets. And I'm like, okay, everything's massively off here. There's nothing I can fucking do about it because it's my voice behind them. And my voice is screwed, so.
Drink some more water.
I've done water, I've done hot water, I've done coffee, I've done tea.
Lemon and tea, lemon, honey, and tea.
Actually, what I need is a lemon, honey, and whiskey at this point.
I was just going to say that could do too.
And I'm all out of lemon.
Dying.
Actually, I have to figure out where my wife put the whiskey.
Oh, by the way, sexy-looking fox.
Oh, you like the new fox?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I was worried that people would be like, but it's so different from the old one. But that's the one I've been wanting to upgrade to for a while because the mouth is like an inch wider. Which makes a huge difference, especially now that... This is the fun part. This is the hand that got affected by the stroke. This hand is screwed up by the stroke too, though. Yep. Mirror neurons.
Yep.
And one thing you can do in terms of the whole mirror neuron thing is you basically manipulate one hand as part of therapy for the other. But in this case, after this one gets screwed up by it, as I got my ability to control this one back, this one started lagging.
Yep.
Which is really kind of fascinating.
Where was your stroke?
Right down the fucking middle. It hit.
That's what I was going to say. That could have happened.
It hit 3, 4, and 6, and I lost use of my left arm completely initially. Then somebody said something really fucking ignorant, and I tried to strangle them to death, and that's when I got initial movement back in the left.
Gotta love a good rage.
Well, at least it's just an arm, and you didn't lose a leg. Then you'd have problems walking. I'm like, right. well, yeah, but wouldn't you rather lose a leg than an arm? I'm like, no, I'm right. I'd be happier losing the leg. But wouldn't you just? Oh, hey, my arm moved.
Yeah.
And that was kind of that, because initially I couldn't move this arm at all, but I mean, I got it back fairly well. But the weird thing is, the more time I spent trying to understand neurologically how all those connections work, the easier time I had remapping, so to speak, which is weird because you don't consciously remap your head.
Yeah.
But somehow understanding how that went seemed to help speed the process. I don't get that.
You see what I did here?
Yeah, well, we see After Effects.
I fell on my thumb like this.
Ow, ow, ow.
And I'm a massage therapist.
Oh, shit.
So I'm going, like, take my
anymore.
Take this whole leg. I can live without a leg, but I need this. Oh, it's a good thing you didn't hurt it. No, I would have loved to have hurt my elbow.
Oh, yeah.
Anything other than that thumb. You know?
Oh, I know. Yeah, we're completely on the same fucking page.
Yeah.
But that bitch drove me nuts because she's insisting that I should be happy that I can't type anymore. And yeah, that level of stupidity is what got the arm working again, because it was just, whoop, hey, my arm worked. Please say more stupid, ignorant shit. It might help. So that whole thing is, don't get yourself excited. Actually, it seemed to help.
Explain to me how you have it down the middle. How did you determine how you got use of your hands bilaterally?
That was actually really weird. We tried to do some of the experiments where you're sitting there and you have the divider between.
Right.
And we tried to do some of that, and that didn't really help. Now, in my case, and this is where it gets really weird, because you deal with like the presuppers and this and that. It's like, well, how can you know that your senses are reliable? You can't.
That's right, you can't.
You can't at all, because your senses aren't reliable. And I now know this for a fact. Your senses are constantly lying to you. And, you know, it's like when we're sitting there looking at things, you're not really looking at what you think you're looking at, which sounds so contra to everything that we know. But it's persistence of vision that allows us to think that we're seeing things the way we perceive them.
That's right.
But our senses are still reliable, though. I would have to agree with that. Our senses are still reliable, even though there's a time delay, and when processing reality differently than what reality might actually be, obviously, because of course we're seeing things in the past, and we're seeing things the way our brain's interpreting it. But the way our brain interprets it is our reality. So our senses are accurate in terms of our own reality.
No. Hang on. Our perception itself, we cannot rely on that being accurate.
Sure, we can.
We are dependent, absolutely dependent on third-party observation and input to validate.
To validate, yes. Oh, yes. I agree with that.
No, it's like this.
We can't trust them.
But think of it like this. Everything that you're processing at one point filters through the amygdala. So everything that you process goes through your emotions. So no matter how you perceive something, this is why they're keeping eyewitness accounts out of the courtroom. Because you and I and Ethan here could see the same event from 3 different perspectives and not be able to tell you what happened. Did you watch what was that movie with Forrest Whitaker where they had 4 different people doing this bombing or the assassination attempt? Like, fantastic movie about this exact topic. 4 different people from 4 different parts of the courtyard saw the event in 4 different ways, and not one of them had what actually happened. So our senses are not reliable. They just can't.
The thing is, the trust we have in our senses is based upon that confirmation over the course of our lifetime.
That's right.
Now, the more confirmation you've received, the more you know you can trust them. But in terms of somebody that has a vision impairment or this and that, they don't get that same level of confirmation. So the trust we have in our senses is more based upon third-party input than anything else at this point. Now, when something happens that you know that your ability to trust those senses has been put further into question, then you must go back to relying on that third-party input. For example, in my case, I looked down a street. The street was clear. I went to take a step up. My wife grabbed my arm and said, "What the hell?" as a pickup went right in front of me. I looked down the street. The pickup wasn't there in my perception. My brain did not process its existence. And he drops. But he'll be back. But, I mean, this is kind of the thing, though, is our senses are not fully reliable.
Mm-hmm.
They are so limited by our ability to process what we're perceiving. And some people process quicker, some slower, and some not at all.
And sometimes the emotive content can actually take control and rewrite in real time. I've had a hallucination while I was awake and cognitive. My mind replaced somebody in the extreme of every detail, every sense, to another person in the instant. And it was just an overlay, a hallucination of this to tell myself something.
But, I mean, the reliability of the senses, though, is completely linked to basically, that third-party input. We need to have that to make sure that we know how much we can trust our own senses.
I agree, but that doesn't mean they're invalid, though. And the argument for the precept is that how do you trust your senses? And you can trust your senses, but as you said, you can trust them by third-party. I can trust mine by third-party verification.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I can only trust mine through third-party verification at this point because I know that I have a dead zone in my vision.
And
I know that there's a part of my vision not being processed.
You have other senses.
Part of validation comes through your senses. So
you have 5 major senses, though. But
no, you have
in terms of vision, I
not
know
more. 5.
Yeah,
major
senses. In terms of vision, though, this part of my vision, I know that anything that I perceive in there is incorrect.
In empiricism, you have 5 major senses. Obviously more, but that's all you have for empiricism.
It also depends on how you define a sense. That's actually.
Well, on that precept argument, they love to change. They love to kind of change definitions around and equivocate things, and for some reason, like Darwin's deity, when he ran his precept on me, he cannot seem to grasp that properly basic beliefs cannot be justified. That's why they're properly basic beliefs, and he seems to think that somehow his version of a deity can justify those beliefs and not give him some other properly basic beliefs, like the presupposition that his Christian God exists. His version of Christian God, and I don't know how he makes that fundamental error. I mean, I've discussed that with Ozzy even, and Ozzy doesn't even understand where Darwin's coming from on that.
What I get a kick out of though is at post-stroke, I've had fun with a couple of pre-suppers because they go to the how can you know your senses are reliable, and I'll turn to them and I'll say you can't. And not only can I not know that my senses aren't reliable. Yours aren't either. The only way we can know that they're reliable at all is by third parties validating what we're seeing or perceiving or smelling or what have you. Because our senses deceive us constantly. It's part of how they work is by these deceptions, like perception of vision, yada yada, all this stuff. They're designed to deceive us. This is how everything works together. It's deceiving the brain by thinking that we're not just going click, 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 so to speak, but that there is this actual persistence of vision, etc.
And this is part of the reason why fundamentalists, particularly, have to hold on so tightly, because they can't use thinking skills to think themselves to a position they can hold on to, because they've been taught it for so long that they need
everything to be objective.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. There's no reasoning with that. If you start from that premise, where everything that I've been taught is right, how do you argue with that? How do you work your way around that? I could attack everything that they know using their book and destroy every argument that they have, and they still believe it because they have to.
One thing
you have to smash the root.
One thing they go on and on about is how miraculous and how wonderful and how great the brain is. And the more you actually study about how it works, it's kind of a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. The senses thing about vision. I've just remembered something I learned in ethology class. There was an experiment done on cats where they where as kittens they grew up. Where they only ever saw either horizontal or vertical lines, and at some point they didn't let them into a room with like a chair or something, if the ones that had only seen vertical lines their whole life walked straight into the legs of the chair, because those were those that only seen horizontal lines walked into the legs of the chair because they couldn't see vertical lines.
Yeah.
And our brains are extremely similar to cats, and like given that we're both mammals, at least compared to other brains, but from other parts of the animal kingdom.
Well, okay.
That shows you just how fucked up the brain is, that it can be tricked by if you don't expose it to a certain stimuli while it's developing, it can't see that.
One of the weirder things after I had the stroke was that I didn't recognize anyone initially.
Yeah,
now, I recognized the voices, but facially, nothing.
Well, that was part of your brain that was affected by it, right?
Well, it was actually part of the visual processing system.
Yes, exactly.
So I was in I actually made a point of starting several hangouts to get people I knew into the hangouts to retrain myself. And Fabio came in at one point, and I'm sitting there going, wow, I never realized that before. There's a little dip right here by his nose that I'd never seen before. This was not part of the face that my brain used to map. But all of the parts of the facial features that my mind used to map were all jumbled. They didn't work anymore. My brain wasn't latching onto them, so I had to basically redo how I map everyone's features. It was really weird. And I was kind of seeing it in real time. I'm like, this is fucked up, man.
Sorry for screwing you up, too.
But yeah, I'm fucking paranoid shaving or growing a shaving, I think it was. I'm like,
shaving, yep.
Features have changed even more. Who the fuck are you? I know the voice. Fucking hurt, man.
That's just cruel.
It was.
I didn't know. Yeah.
You don't recognize somebody by, their entire face. It's individual points. It's kind of like the face recognition software where you see that analyzes different points within the features, and how you map the faces based upon these points can shift.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same technology that our brain uses in that sense.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we as a species rely so very, very, very much on, is being able to recognize people we know and like and we trust. And without that, we don't survive very long. So when those parts of your brain get damaged, it's fucking devastating.
Well, I want to make a point that all this discussion points more and more that we are a blank slate when we come out of the womb.
Absolutely, we are.
Even our vision, our senses have to be programmed, quote unquote.
Well, that we can't see worth fuck anyway when we first come out.
Yeah, you can only see about 25 centimeters in front of you, which is why you should actually. Which is why we instinctively, when we talk to a newborn and babies, we go close to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's enough to get from the breast to the eyes. That's about as far as they can see, and at about 6 months.
Yeah, and it's all blurry.
5 feet. Yeah. So yeah, it is something that develops. But it's perfect and wonderfully made by God.
Yeah, right.
There's also, I think I read at some point that actually, like, the idea that when babies cry, that they always cry because of something, might not actually be true. There is actually a real possibility that they might just be crying because their brains are developing. That's just
They're growing.
Yeah.
Don't hurt when they grow.
Well, one of the things for me that was a little bit strange is when I was trying to get the movement back in my hand, is I'd be sitting there and you cognitively know that the signal's being sent, but that it's not getting there, and that in and of itself is really bizarre because you know that you're saying your brain's saying hand moved, and your hand's just like, yeah, fuck you, I don't hear you. And the one of the occasions when I really started getting some movement back, because at that point, if I remember correctly, my hand was just naturally in this position, and trying to straighten it out wasn't working. So I could do about that, and I'm concentrating, and then I finally get my hand to straighten out. And when I do, I get this massive pain right about here, and the pain just kind of spreads out a little bit, and I'm like, hey, look, I can do that now. And I stopped doing it for a few minutes, and I almost lost it and had to work to get it back, but it was weird.
Do you know what the homunculus is?
What a homunculus is? Yeah.
Yeah. So what you were doing when you were moving your hand up and down was activating those parts of the motor cortex, and that's why it was hurting. That was
Yeah,
damaged.
but homunculus has been challenged recently. The idea of it. There are some developments in neurology neuroscience that seems to suggest that it might be a little more complicated than we thought previously, and that the homunculus might not exist in that sense.
Yeah, I have no doubt that it's far more complicated than we could ever imagine. But yeah, I mean, it's still.
Okay, I know the classical meaning of the term homunculus. What specifically are you referring to?
Which one of us?
Either, technically. Because classically, the homunculus was we're talking like Frankenstein, artificially made human beings. So homunculus, you're talking a different concept.
It's the idea that you can map that different parts of the body is basically mapped on the brain. It's the one where you see like you see a slice of through a brain, and you have and then you have all it's easier to find a picture, actually.
Okay, what I know from listening to TED Talks in terms of more recent stuff, there's a section of the brain right behind the ear here that's a bit of a ways in, and that controls your internal mapping of where your body thinks you are within reality.
Yeah, it's more to do with movement and sensing.
Okay, so this is a slightly different take. Okay.
I think I've got a basic picture of it.
Yeah.
That there's specific neurons, neuron areas which are distinctively set aside for these certain motors, and that's
really
There, I was gonna show you the same picture.
Yeah, that really doesn't matter.
There is some truth to it. Like there is.
There's some truth to it in theory, but from what I've learned from more recent neuroscience, it's one specific center in the brain that basically takes care of where you identify your avatar self as being, essentially.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's where it's when you move. When the idea is that when you do a certain movement, that it's that part of the brain that does the movement.
It's the part of the brain that does the movement or identifies where you are in physical space.
No, those are two different things.
Yeah, those are two different things.
Okay.
Proprioception is knowing where you are in space, and your muscles have those. You've got a bunch of proprioceptors in every muscle that you know. Here, I'll show you. Like, when I go like this, my brain knows my hand is up there.
Yeah.
So I don't have to look and go, oh, there's my hand. So when I'm playing football, I know to move my hand like that over 1,000 times. My brain knows how to do that without me thinking about it. What the homunculus is if I'm wiggling my finger, it can trace that right to a spot on my brain that moves that little spot. And the hand has more than the forearm, and the forearm has more than here because there's more nerve endings in here, and it goes less and less as you move. Like the feet and the hands have most of them.
Now, mind you, this is mostly hypothesizing based upon my own experience, but what seemed to have happened in my case was that my brain just didn't know where my arm was, so it didn't know where to send the signals.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense because your motor cortex was damaged.
Yeah.
That's the center of your brain that was damaged, which is right along the corpus callosum area in there, which is where you had the stroke.
So what happened was,
cortex.
My brain lost track of where my arm was in physical space, and because of that, it just didn't know what the hell to do with itself. Now, now that I have the majority of my control back in my hand, I'll start typing, and instead of hitting A, I hit cap lock. Now I touch type, but my hand will just naturally start shifting into where my brain thinks my hand is supposed to physically be. And I'll look down going, okay, that's not where I'm telling my hand to be, and I'll have to move it back. So my awareness of where I am in space-time is what's screwed up. In actual real-time, in space, is what's fucked up.
And what's actually fucked up for you is, like, there is, the way your brain tells where you are is by the angles of your joints.
Right.
So my brain thinks that I'm in a certain location, and my hand doesn't quite match. It's a little bit off, so my hand will keep trying to realign to where my brain thinks it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and as it tries to realign, the error doesn't go away, and so it just keeps pushing itself.
Yeah, it gets to be a pain in the ass. It really does.
Yeah, that does sound very annoying.
This is why I'm doing video game therapy, though. Right now playing Path of Exile. You have to drink a lot of potions and this and that. And every time I start, I'll be like, oh shit, I'm dying. Where's my hand now? Okay, why am I on the F keys? It's supposed to be on 1, not F1. So I'll have to move my hand and realign, and it's a pain.
Yeah, and that's why after a stroke you have to do a lot of physical therapy, because you've got to retrain all those muscles to know where everything belongs.
Yeah, well, depending on where you have the stroke, obviously.
Can you screen share me for a sec, Heathen?
I can. Hang on. There we go. Present. Done.
So yeah, so this is kind of what we're talking about. These are the different areas. So
It's not
We're
displaying
not
it.
seeing anything.
oh
You have to click the screen share them yourself.
oh
Yeah, you're being presented, but you need to do your own little share thing.
Yeah.
how do I do that?
You usually have to do it twice.
Oh, I got it. Okay, how about that? Is that better? Okay, can you
May
see?
take a second to come up. No, not yet.
Yeah, there's a fuck up with Google that when you do the Google screen share thing, you have to do it twice. The first time it never takes.
Yeah, for some weird reason.
We ran into this with Redline the other day.
Yeah.
Now?
No, just your avatar.
How about that?
Stop screen sharing and try again.
Okay. Oh, that's. Hang on. I'm hitting the wrong thing here. How do I?
That's always a possibility.
Is that better?
No,
Is it the little arrow on my little thingy on the front here?
Okay, you're on the tablet, are you, or
No,
something?
I'm on my laptop.
This should be out in the
I'm
left.
presenting, so.
Out on the left, that there should be like if you move your mouse there, there should be like a little screen with a green screen with a white arrow on it.
Unless you're using the more recent version of the Google app, in which case there's a little 3-dot thing on the top right.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
There we go. There we go.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. So you've got all these different areas doing different things. So here's the motor cortex right here.
Yeah.
So this is where you're talking about you had your stroke. So yeah, that's definitely going to affect where everything is, because everything has to run through there.
Yeah, that's all your conscious. That's where all your conscious movements are.
Okay, how do I stop this?
You click again. Yeah.
And again, there you go.
Here you go. Stop presenting.
Thanks.
But no, the thing is, I think actually Parano might actually be the one who had shared that article on G+. But what they seem to think is that it has actually there are some evidence that it might actually be, rather than each muscle and nerve, each muscle having like a specific spot on the cortex, it might actually be more that it's not parts of the body that it might actually be that it's more actions in themselves that's encoded.
That seems to be the case based upon my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also some evidence that
what we refer to as muscle memory, essentially, more so than what Ian said. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also some evidence that that the brain actually prepares multiple actions before it basically decides on which one to do. That's kind of weird, but.
Well, no, that's why we don't believe in free will.
Well, actually, one problem that I actually did have that kind of goes along with this is initially when I was trying to do certain move actions and this and that, is the response I'd get would be a number of smaller actions that are supposed to be linked that seem to be happening individually, so they go out of order sometimes.
Absolutely, that's how it works. Because as you're saying, put my hand here. There's like a dozen muscles that have to move synchronized to make that movement happen. And if you're not communicating properly up here, you're going to get this. This is going to here. This is going to come out here, and then you're going to go like that. Makes perfect sense. So as you retrain that movement, your body learns how to put those smooth movements and get them arm. Like this is what I do all day long. I help people get their arm from this position to here, and it's like they can get it to here. And they go, well, how do I get it up here? Well, we have to get this muscle to go up here again, and so we just retrain it all.
But in this case, it was almost as if the movements were out of sequence.
They were, and that's very common. That's what you do physical therapy.
Yeah, I did that for a little bit of a while, and I got released because there wasn't shit all additional they could really do. I didn't even bother going to the last session because I had done almost all of it on my own because I was working on it for anywhere from 8 to 16 hours a day to try and get that movement back. And then I went in there one day, and she's like, "It's a miracle." I'm like, "A miracle isn't 8 to 16 hours a day working on this. What the fuck is your definition of miracle, lady?"
Yeah.
More rage therapy.
Yeah.
I've actually phrased how what Micro said, that our movements are based on actions, as associative memory, where you know how you have a memory of how something works or how something has happened in the past, and then you build a pathway to that memory of it, which then triggers back. It gives you either movement or series of actions or words even.
I play guitar. When I'm sitting there playing my guitar, I don't think of how to form a D chord. I just play it.
Exactly.
And when I'm playing a song, I don't think about the chords, or I think more about the words, and the words trigger where the chord changes are. Because that's how I learned how to play.
My guitar is
I don't think about that stuff. I just do it.
Isn't that just repetitive memory? Effectively, you're thinking about the goal, not the task.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was the guitar player that the joke was, how do you shut the guitar player up? That was me. I don't read music, so they would just give me the score. So I don't read music, but if I hear the song once, I can play it. So
but it's a really weird thing though, because you go from all these things that you don't even think about to all of a sudden having to think about every motion you're making.
Yeah.
You just think you go through when you're a baby. You're having to learn it all like you're a baby again.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder because you're not, unfortunately.
It makes you more sympathetic of clumsy children, though.
Well, when I was in phys ed back in 1980, we did a test where we took about 4 or 5 18-month-old babies, and a few of us were told to go in there and mimic them. And we were exhausted after about 5 minutes, and these babies just kept going. But the amount of movement you learn in the first 4 or 5 years of your life is incredible.
Oh, it's incredible.
And
I'd even say within the first year.
The thing is, this whole thing that you pick up as a kid from watching Spock and whatnot can't do anymore.
Yeah.
I've never been able to do it.
The left is not the only one that's screwed up. The right has been retarded as well. French term retarded. Movement reduced. Slowed. But that's been a big problem with the puppeting, which is part of why it's taken me so long to get back to doing that. Now, this hand is not very useful with the puppets right now because it's still very awkward and clumsy because it doesn't think it is where it's supposed to be. But this one's also slowed down. It's not matching up the way it used to. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be doing either the wrong number of beats when you're moving the mouth, or it'll just be a little bit off. And trying to get that to resync, so to speak, because it took me about 6 months to get to the point that I could actually, while talking, always be moving this hand so it would sync up with my lips. That took some years of practice.
Well, that's a skill.
Here's an idea to sync them back up. Think the first couple words before you speak them, but move with the thinking rather than the speaking.
It doesn't really work that way.
Okay.
Now,
The thing would still be out of sync.
Yeah. It would just be out of sync in a different manner. At that point, it's just like, okay, here's your video, here's your audio. Let's try to move the audio bar. The trying to match the two of those up when you're moving the audio to try to match the video is miserable.
Yeah, that sounds annoying.
And that's effectively what you're trying to do by trying to alter the timing that way.
So, but is it a consistent lag? Is it always like sort of the same amount of time that it lags behind?
Yeah, and with system lag on a camera, you can kind of get that down after a while, but it takes a lot of practice. But even then, the number of beats has even been wrong, and that's consistent with both hands, which is weird that this hand being screwed up threw the other one out of alignment, and I can only attribute that to mirror neurons.
I thought mirror neurons were supposed to mimic other people.
But that's the thing is, at the same point, though, the mirror neurons, I believe they equate to that whole thing when you have, the missing arm thing, and you're basically substituting one arm for the other in terms of some of that. So I think they equate that to mirror neurons too, don't they?
Yeah, now I'm not sure. Because I've heard
I might
them
be using the wrong term. I don't know.
Yeah, because mirror neurons, the only thing I've heard there is like things like autism, for example, that they're that the reason why people with autism have problems sometimes interpreting other people's emotions is that their mirror neurons might not be functioning correctly, and that the mirror neurons are basically supposed to mimic the movement you do, not the other person do, so that you somehow have...
In this case, we're talking about mimicking and mirroring the movement of your own limb.
Yeah, and I don't think they are involved in that, but
I don't know.
I could obviously be wrong.
A motor neuron, there's two types of neurons. There's motor and sensory. Motors move and sensories feel.
No, we're referring to mirror right now.
Yeah, and there are a lot more types of neurons than those two.
The two we use the most. When you're talking about neurons move, you know your muscles and they move.
But you also have things like, but how would you then...
Mechanoreceptors and chemoreceptors and baroreceptors. I understand all of those things, but those are sensory.
But then you also have interneurons.
Yeah, they go from neurons and they go from they travel up the spinal column. I understand that, but the interneurons are between either the sensory or the motor. They're just a connector. That's all they are.
I thought the motor neurons were the ones that were connected to muscles.
Motor neurons are
connected to muscles, and interneurons connect neurons and neurons. But sensory, motory, and interneurons are what you find in the peripheral nervous system. You also find interneurons in the...
Interneurons you don't find in the peripheral, they're only in the central.
Okay, because I was just thinking that, you were talking about people with, Micah was talking about people with autism, and I have a form of autism, and one of the things that I'm really bad at is picking up body language.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the hypotheses is that that's down to something, some mishap with the mirror neurons, which are neurons in your brain that when you see someone doing a motion, they basically activate as if you were doing that motion, as if the other neurons, the not mirror neurons, were making you perform that action.
Oh, okay, I think I see what you mean. So, as a small baby, you see your parents smile, so you smile to copy them.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay.
We learn by watching, and we do. That's mimicking. That's how we learn how to move.
So the way you evaluate is by basically simulating, if I were doing this, what would it represent in your own head?
Yes, and there are this class called mirror neurons that do that.
Because one of the things that I have an issue with as a part of the Asperger's is I am somewhat clumsy at times. And yet I'm capable of very fine motor control. I do modeling to a very, very, very an engineering point. You know, there's a very high degree of tolerance.
I don't know how many brushes he has that have more than one bristle.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got a couple of, I got 3 bristles on a couple of brushes.
Point made.
Those are my brushes. And to be honest, a number of them are rubbish now, so I need to replace them. But no, I have the biggest set of elbows you've ever seen. You know, they're great at knocking things off or bumping into things, and my toes get stubbed more than most people's, it seems. Things like that. And it's not just because I've got long toes. And one of the difficulties is that I think it's a spatial awareness issue. That my spatial awareness is slightly off. It was really bad when I was growing up. It was really bad when I was growing up because I was extraordinarily clumsy. In those growth spurts that we have, effectively our body is changing quicker than our brains does. So it's always a problem where teenagers are clumsy when they're going through those kind of stages. But other people seem to cope with it quicker than I could.
Well, that's interesting.
And yet still, I had very fine motor control when it came to writing or drawing or making models.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I have ADHD, and that's, And there are a lot of, now we know there also are a lot of same genetic basis for autism, spectrum disorders, and ADHD. So.
I really
apparently this thing, even though it says live, is not actually.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I couldn't find it.
It was supposed to be airing as unlisted, but it's not even doing that. I mean,
that's why I can't find it.
No. Even then, it's on my side. Even if it's not going as unlisted, I should be able to see it, and I can't. So
you should be able to see it, but that would also explain why I wouldn't be able to see it.
No, but you should be able to, though. You're on the invite list.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But I'm actually looking at it on my channel here with upcoming and completed and all that. On my end, at least, even if it was as private, I should fucking see it, and I'm not.
Maybe
it's just completely fucked up now.
Have you got the watch link?
There isn't one.
Okay.
It doesn't fucking exist. Fucking weird.
That's kind of weird. No, I just realized that Google, when you're in the Hangout, there isn't actually a way. Yeah, but I just realized that there's actually no way, from the Hangout to make it give you the watch link. That seems like it would be a good feature. Like there were a button where you could click and then it would open a new tab or new window and you could go to where we broadcast.
Yeah, it should actually show it under live now, at least on my end, under events. But it's not.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I guess this thing's recording in limbo.
I've just gone to the event page and hit it says it's live. Go to view it and nothing.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
So, no.
I have no idea.
We better just go on the assumption, that we are still live.
Oh, yeah.
And not mention G-Man's real name and stuff like that.
Yeah, it says it's not live. I've actually got a watch link here, and it's unlisted and not live, starting soon.
That's fucked up. I don't know.
So I just did a little bit of reading on mirror neurons. And, from what I'm seeing, it's not a cut and dried case as to what they do or even if they exist the way we think they do.
No, I was oversimplifying it. There is.
So they think it could just be a function of how our brain processes things as well. They're not actually certain there's a neuron dedicated to this function, but it seems to be located in an area that's kind of how these things can work together. So. There's like in everything in neuroscience, things are very unclear. We only basically know, to a large extent, we know
Yeah, we know the general, like we know how neurons function, and we know to a large extent, what in the brain controls what. But all the finer details, no, there are a lot of unanswered questions.
That's right.
Therefore, God.
Yeah, exactly, Cliff.
Peril, let me see that link. I want to see what happens if I try to go there. Seeing as it's my channel, maybe it'll do something different. Thanks. I can't even get to that, so.
Yeah, the event.
We'll start streaming soon. They're just plain fucked it up, assholes.
Yep. Now you're going through XSplit.
Could it be because
No.
wasn't this originally Greg's hang up?
It probably has something to do with they're trying to disconnect the G Plus from YouTube.
Yeah.
They just fucked it up again.
No surprise.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be having a conversation with Veckel tomorrow.
Oh.
Well, yeah, Trimpers has made a video, and Veckel was saying that she's not really a Christian, in his opinion.
You know what?
And so I left a long thread.
At this point, Cliff, I don't give a fuck what those guys say.
Oh yeah, I know. But I thought it might be an interesting conversation to have. So he said, like, I don't want to have a long discussion with you in text like this. Let's do it in a hangout. I said, yep, fine. So we've arranged it.
There kind of comes a point that you wonder what the fuck it would take for them to consider somebody a Christian.
They believe everything that they do.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You got to believe the same batshit stuff that they do, or you're not a Christian. You got to be a Calvinist.
It's the no true Christian fallacy.
Yeah.
By the way, a while ago I was doing some looking. I just got to show you guys something, and ask: does Max, yes or no, have a striking resemblance to our new PM?
He's a little thicker, but yeah, they do kind of look alike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was Max. Oh, that wasn't Max. Trudeau's lost away. That's probably him.
Yeah, Trudeau's. That was his wedding day.
10 years ago. So Max, he's thinned out a lot, but Max looks pretty much like that right now. So.
Yeah. He knows how to get a hot wife.
I've joked a couple of times that Max is trying to look like Che Guevara.
Oh, no, Frank Zappa.
Sorry.
Yeah, Shay.
I need to be able to breathe one of these.
By the way, sorry I'm late, heathens. I had to nip out to the shops before they closed, and I got your message just as I was putting my shoes on to leave. So.
No, don't worry about it. We've been chilling out for a little bit of a while, and in theory we were streaming for a bit there, but yeah, apparently not.
Maybe not.
So I'm actually going to stop this and see if eventually a video shows up for it, and I'm just going to start broadcasting through XSplit, I guess.
See, I don't even have anything from you.
Idea the other day, which was, when you get Christians who completely misunderstand what evolution is, and they sort of say it's a dog giving birth to a non-dog, or to a cat or whatever, I'm going to have a standard response to that and say that Christianity is, the definition of Christianity is Jesus was a banana who was skinned for the sins of humanity. Sorry, skinned and eaten for the sins of humanity.
There we go.
Was TJ around for that?
Well, but that would illustrate that, obviously that's not what Christianity is, but when Christians say that's what evolution is and it's completely wrong, that's what we hear. So maybe that's an analogy might work for them.
Yeah, because you still have some central things, but the most important part is missing. Yeah, I can see that analogy working. I don't think they'll understand it, but I can see it works as an analogy at least.
Yeah. amusingly, I had thick shades, pretending not to be thick shades, which is this Robert E. Lee 2K9 Truth Seeker, which is an amusing name. He was saying I was a liar, and I was a liar, and I was a liar, and I was a liar. I want to say there's no God. Well, no, I believe there's no God, so I'm not lying when I say that. As someone who can't tell the difference between lying and being wrong in his opinion.
Well, in theory, we're live now. Looks like it, at least.
Oh, apparently we're live now?
Yeah, you had to start something different. We'll see what's going on with the other thing. I didn't
know. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have to press play twice.
No, actually, the play button didn't work at all, so I said fuck it, took that thing offline, and just started broadcasting direct. Because fuck this noise. And I'm going to see if the other thing showed up at all, and I'm going to bet it didn't. Let's see, live streaming, see if we have anything under completed. Because I think we lost the entire conversation we just had on neurology.
Yeah, I've just got one now, 13.
Yep, that's what I just started a second ago.
Yeah, you just sent this one. So, yeah.
But yeah, I'll look back in an hour, but I'm willing to bet that it just doesn't fucking exist. Wait, it does say shuffle staging area is processing, so our neurology talk might exist somewhere.
Yay.
Cool.
We'll see what happens when it processes.
Exists in our brains, probably.
Big fucking pain in the ass thing this is. The funny thing is, this is actually going to the main channel stream bit, so I actually have a comment left over from last time I fucking streamed, but whatever. We'll just blame that on some other kind of neuron, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that it does that it sort of it's starting to sort of keep the comments, but not really keep them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if it has the general stream you can stream to the channel through, and if you do that, it keeps every comment that's ever fucking been made on that stream. And it's a different can of worms, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Because it's not like you're actually ever starting a new stream. It's like you're always just continuing the last one, which is kind of shit.
Yeah.
I really wish that Google would fix the comments thing so you can comment while videos are going on.
Yeah, but you can set that up. There's a way to turn that on.
Basically,
no, not the live.
Actually, what it is they're trying to.
When you're doing it.
You have to set it to be a live stream. Basically, you have to be basically using an app. And apparently, there had been a way briefly that if you kind of kicked the tires enough, you could kind of get it to work through the regular Hangouts thing. But now apparently that's not properly connecting with YouTube anyway. So I don't freaking know. All I know is I want to strangle these fuckers. And the other thing I have about another 4.5, 5 hours to waste before Talking Shit Tuesday.
That should be an interesting one.
I'm still wanting to bludgeon Troy for yesterday, or Trey rather.
I haven't watched that yet. I should do.
No, you shouldn't. Oh, you really shouldn't.
No.
Oh, why? Why was
it's
it so
painful.
bad?
You'll want to get a bottle before you watch it.
Yeah, not to drink, to beat yourself with.
Are you trying to tell me that this is another one of those videos where I need to sit on my hands? Otherwise, I'll beat myself to death with facepalm.
With
on your desk.
Possibly.
With a bite plate.
Possibly, yeah. It was pretty bad. At one point in the follow-up, we actually, had Ozzy in there, and Ozzy's trying to explain shit, and I'm chiming in here and there, and we have some other folks talking. And there was this entire conversation. There was all these words going on in the same room as him. But I don't think any of the words actually made it into his brain. I think he just had, magic force fields around his ears to make sure that nothing that was said actually made it in there. It was incredible.
I had the same problem the other day. I went into G-Man's Hangout after it all finished and he'd gone away. And I ended up I was with iFroze, and I can't remember what the other guy's name was now. A relatively new guy. Ryan Reacts, that was it. The Brony guy. And Robbie, you know, the Down syndrome guy that comes on G-Men's
Curly
things.
black-haired guy.
I don't know. I don't watch his shit. I haven't for over a year.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Actually, closer to 2.
Gosh, that was the most difficult conversation I've ever had, because I was trying to explain to him a fairly simple idea, and he just couldn't get it. And he would say one thing in one sentence, and the following sentence he would say the opposite thing. You know, and so, you know, and he was trying to say that I believe God exists, and I said, no, I don't believe God exists. I know what's going through my head better than you do. Can you understand that? And he's like, well, I'm not telling you what you think, but you know God exists. Oh, you know, and I did this at least 5 times. And not only that, in the conversation, he suddenly blurted out of nowhere that somehow my parents kicked me out of the house because I was an atheist.
What?
Which never happened.
Talk about wishful thinking.
Well, I mean, I've been an atheist all my life. You know, never believed in the God thing.
I think
you know, the last time I've been to church twice in 25 years or whatever it is. You know, the last time was 1989, I think it was.
Hang on a second. I think that particular instance was one that snark was called for. I think the proper response would be to have paused, smirked, and said, did God reveal that to you so you could know it for certain?
Well, we are a fair now, right?
No.
On, actually. Let me get my screen up, actually, while I think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shadow. How do we know we're alive? You know, show it to us.
No. You click the fucking that little checkbox. If dipshit fucking comes in here to bitch, he can go fuck himself.
Mike the Monk.
Mike the Monk.
Dumbass.
Yeah, pain in the ass. Yeah.
Almost as bad as
Anyway, so what happened was he just blurted this thing out, and it's like, no, I've been an atheist all my life. You know, my mum is sort of religious, and my dad doesn't believe. You know, but you know, it's not really a problem in the UK. You know, if you don't believe in God, nobody cares. You know, as long as you act decently, people don't mind. You know, and the same the other way around.
In other words, so as long as not everybody acts like Stizer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so and he just blurted this out, and it's like, that's not true at all. Yes, it is. No, it's not. So you've met me for all of an hour, and you're telling me something in my life that didn't happen? Are you crazy?
There you go.
Well, I didn't say it like that, you know. I said,
no,
you just
should have.
You can't know that kind of thing. You know.
I think he was trying to do the equivalent of a cold read or some shit like that, or just, I don't know.
Deluded.
That's why I say it's a case of snark of, did God reveal that to you so you can know it for certain? Oh, well, I'm sorry, it's incorrect.
Yeah.
So much for your omniscience. Go fuck off.
Well, I mean, he actually said at one point that he had mind control powers.
Oh, really?
I know.
It sounds more and more.
It was actually hilarious because iFro said, look, I'm putting my hand up. Use your mind control powers to make it go down. And you can see, you know, you could see this Robbie guy like gurning into the screen because he's got on a tablet and his face is right up against it. And he's like peering into the screen, you know. I mean, you can practically see the nose hairs, you know. He was that close, and you know, and like I froze his, still got his hand up and saying, "Nope, still up." And this went on for about 4 minutes.
Oh wow!
And in the end, I said, you know, news from your doctor: your IQ test came back negative.
Now, I'd like to make a note though. Then when it comes to mind control powers, my dog has shown that he does have far superior mind control abilities than that. Will you stop licking your dick? See, he made me say that.
Well, the thing about it is, when I said that, it made iFroze chuckle so much that his hand went down, and I took advantage of that and said, "Look, see, you couldn't get him to put down, but I make a little snarky joke, and I managed to get his hand down. So my mind control powers are much better than yours. They're based on jokes."
He should have just rotated his hand and then lowered the other fingers and up with the middle. You're giving yourself the finger, are you?
Yeah, but it was just so obscure because, you know, and I thought the Downs people were still kind of rational, you know, were still able to understand 1 + 1 is 2 kind of level.
Mm.
You know, and he was, you know, I was explaining it to him, and he was saying, "Yeah, I don't know, you know, I don't know what you're thinking." And then a sentence later, he was saying, okay, so I would then say, okay, so based upon that, I don't believe in God. Yes, you believe in God. Ah. I mean, it went on for 2.5 hours, this, trying to get him to understand a pretty simple concept.
And people wonder why I've gone with the agnostic approach.
Mm.
Yes, you believe in God. I believe in what? God. What's that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically just a fuck you response.
Yeah.
Oh, you know God. No, I don't. What's God? And then you can take it further and, well, okay, so what's a God supposed to be then? Okay, so what the fuck? So you're stipulating that such a thing exists? Well, that's kind of silly. And you can just get more and more obnoxious and trollish from there.
Mm.
I can't imagine you doing that, 13.
I do it all the fucking time because I'm an asshole.
Well, they deserved it.
Now, I do have to say I kind of side with Fundy Fox with the whole Jesus thing. I have to. He's my Fox.
What's his position on that?
His position is that the Bible's technically wrong, that Jesus was actually a 9-tailed fox demon from Japan that went into the area of the Middle East, and the reason why he didn't die on the cross is because the only way to kill a kitsune is to cut off its tails. That's
Gotcha.
Fundy Fox's position. Because
I could get behind that.
This is how you mean? It makes as much sense as the actual story.
My favorite God to reference when, you know, they talk about well, which God? You know, and they say, well, do you know every God? Well, you know, do you know every God? How about Tajima Mori? Do you know him? And they're like, no.
Heard about Dave?
It's a Japanese.
Dave's not here.
Ermine, I must say congratulations. I really didn't think Mr. Manning would be able to do that.
Oh?
Mr. Manning.
Well, I knew the defense was good, but I just didn't think he had enough to...
Oh, sports thing.
Football.
Oh, Peyton.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh. Oh,
thank
Hendrik.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really, really good football game. I'm really looking forward to it.
We hope so. But it could be a really big butt kicking too.
Hermine, you've got a weird squeaky thing going on.
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. It was
Speaking
feedback.
a little bit.
Yeah, some high-pitched something.
Cyclic, too. Don't know what that was.
Digital feedback.
Can we
Are
just
you
say-
are you riding a bicycle? Do you have some kind of dog whistle in the spokes of your bicycle? Okay, that was almost completely incoherent. Never mind.
I think I got most of it.
Well, let's see if... Give this one more glance. Yeah, I'd actually had this thing set to be recording the discussion from earlier, and for some reason it didn't seem to be doing so. So, yeah, we stopped that and started a more standardized broadcast, and I'm going to see if it at least recorded the last thing. Let me take a quick look here.
That's slick. Ugh.
Shuffle staging area, 48 minutes. Yep, it looks like it recorded it good. Yay!
Just process it right, which is good because there's some pretty cool stuff we talked about.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to throw it in on the shuffle playlist somehow. I'll just figure it out later. And I'll have to name this thing later. I don't know, because this thing's currently named 219, which is the wrong number. Of course, the fun thing is, in about a week, I will have access to stream on the main channel back. So I'm going to be streaming every shuffle that it happened after the channel got shut down for streaming. And yeah, that's probably going to be running for about 3 days. Unless I decide to be a complete dork and just run the entire shuffle list, because, you know, I have the power to do that now if I wanted. And that would take, what, I think we're up to 30 days worth of content total?
Probably.
I could do a 30-day stream, but that sounds even more obnoxious.
Like 30 days times 24 hours each?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And this is part of why I got so ticked off that Google didn't even review the claim that was made against me, because at that point I already had like 4 weeks worth of content or something like that. I'd like almost a month's worth of content that I'd already done, and I'd never gotten a single flag on it. And I'm like, really? Come on, guys. But they don't look at track records or any of that. It's just, oh no, somebody said it was porn. I'm going to flag the account. I'm thinking that that happens again. I'm not deleting the original source video, and I'm going to actually just see about suing them. Because if it happens again, I'll have the money to hire the friggin' lawyers.
Can you tell what these 3 pixels are?
Yeah, pretty much.
Welcome back, Dave.
Oh, sorry, I was getting a phone call, so I had to go.
Likely story.
Okay.
At least tell me she was cute.
Couple
Why if
others
you have to?
That's okay. We get it.
She's a real beauty, so you know I had to go.
Actually, for the sake of the
You
stream.
were not offendable, so it doesn't matter.
Oops.
How are you? I mean,
I'm good. Thanks for asking. How are you?
that's all right. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm just I'm still thinking about the hangout from last night, which was a sight to behold. It was amazing.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy.
I don't think I've ever seen that before, where a room full of atheists all take the side of the theist and turn on another atheist.
Yeah, I know I haven't seen it. I was shocked.
What happened?
I've actually seen that before, but it usually takes a really dumb argument to cause it.
Yeah.
What happened?
So basically, we were all in a hangout, and I mean, I hadn't been in the hangout, and there was this woman in there called Godless something or other, and as soon as she had been silent, completely silent, and we were just talking shit, you know, we were talking about education and politics and whatever. Godless Kafir, that's it, and then Amin came into the room, and literally within a second, Godless spoke up and just was like, "You're a theist. Let's have a debate. I'm going to destroy you." And Amin was like,
Okay.
"Why me?" She was like, "It seems like a really strange thing to want to do." And she was like, "I'm going to destroy. I'm going to take you apart. Well, I'm just going to destroy your position." And he was like, "Okay, that's fine." Everyone was like, "What the fuck?" Like, that's got nothing to do with the conversation we were having. I mean, I get that Google Plus, you know, in these Hangouts, it's nice to have a debate, but it's also nice to sort of like have a preamble before a debate. You know, like, who are you? And,
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you. What's your, something.
yeah. And we all took exception to it, really, because it was just really sort of tasteless. Had it have been like Matt Bell or something, we'd have been like, please, go ahead. That means like really nice, so we were just like, what the fuck? Back off. So we were just talking about what is rational and what is rationalism, and it was really interesting. It was really interesting, but it was like it took a while to sort of like calm her down. It was like she'd eaten 15 bags of sugar.
Looks like we're off air again, 13.
No, we should be on.
No, well, it says off air in my little corner.
Nope.
Oh, no, the corner
no,
we don't. The corner doesn't count.
Okay.
Yeah.
All we need to know. As long as it's still working here.
Yeah, the corner does not count. That's not representative of anything. And there we go. There we go.
You're showing your avatar again instead of the on-air thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, it looks like it might be old because we've got stay in it. So
It's a bandwidth thing, and I'm just redoing my mapping here. But I had the bandwidth off for a moment there. Okay. But yeah, it's there. I just turned off my bandwidth for a minute. But yeah, we're on. I'm doing the safe icon thing for the moment. Good grief, breathing is getting more difficult again. I hate being sick.
Yep.
I think most people do.
That's a true.
I'm not sure what it is at this point. It's massive chest congestion and all that fun stuff.
You get checked out for bronchitis?
It's not bronchitis. Bronchitis, I know the sound of. This ain't it.
Okay.
Got a tumor. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, I used to get bronchitis periodically, and it has a total different sound in the lungs. This does not have rails.
Gotcha.
And the bronchitis, when I'd get it, would always have rails.
Does it feel heavy and moist in there?
No, it's not moist.
that's taken out of context.
Yeah, I was just thinking that heavy and moist.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to jump to politics for a second. Apparently, Jerry Falwell Jr. will endorse Trump.
Well,
Wow.
Good on him.
There's an endorsement I wouldn't fucking want.
And why do we care?
Because it's massively hypocritical. That's why we care.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that bothers me, I heard something the other day about I forgot his first name, Bloomberg, the mayor of
Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah. Apparently, he's thinking about running as an independent, and that's more likely to take some of the Democratic voters and basically split it between them, which means that if Trump is the Democratic candidate, then
Republican.
Republican candidate, sorry.
Bloomberg's going to run as an independent to say fuck you.
Becoming president, which would just be a disaster.
You have to remember that right now you're seeing Trump really, really, really being supported by the white vote. He still has to all the other.
I'm sorry. I've got to cut you off and argue on that one, because I don't think characterizing it as the white vote is appropriate.
Okay.
Now, if you're talking about the racist white vote, go for it.
Yes, them.
Caveat required. Go ahead.
I don't mind being. I'm a Canadian. I don't give a fuck.
I'm American. I do give a shit.
I actually disagree. I think you should give a fuck, because
the Canadians, by their very nature, they can't give a fuck. There's something. It's a genetic issue.
We're sorry for that, by the way.
We won the war in 1812, and that's all that matters. We won the war. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I think Canadians and British and whatever. I think people should, because often what America does, Britain follows.
Yeah, the rest of Europe follows a bit after that.
If Trump comes in, what's he going to do to the economy? Is it going to go spiraling into another recession? So next thing you've got people that are homeless and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this is a dangerous idea, and I think that people should care, even if they're not Americans.
I might be naive, and I probably am, but as much as I question a lot of things that go on in America, I really honestly don't think the majority of the people are dumb enough to actually vote for him as president. I don't think so. I have to believe they're smarter than that.
I don't know. I want to believe it.
We are talking about Americans, right?
That's what I just said. I had to qualify that. I really don't think I think this is just a comedy show. The whole Republican thing is a comedy act. I can't take any of it seriously.
Well, remember, in the U.S., you don't have to get the majority of the vote to actually get
That's
elected.
true.
I think the problem is that
I watched a video earlier that was somebody's reasons why they were going to vote for Trump, and I sat there the entire time waiting for it to be revealed that it was just satire. And there are moments that I'm like, oh, this has got to be satire. This is clearly satire because his business record isn't like that, because this isn't like that. But it wasn't satire. The guy just bought all the bullshit.
There was a fascinating program on Radio 4 yesterday about Trump's politics and the politics of paranoia and how he is using conspiratorial ideas and paranoid ideas and getting shitloads of popularity from people who think that the country's been taken over by Muslims and all of this stuff. And it was really interesting because he's getting a lot of popularity by the same way that these flat earthers get a shitload of following just by making reference to conspiracy and paranoia. It's really interesting. And the history of it in American politics, because a lot of because of federalism and I can't remember. You'll have to sort of American. We'll have to jump in here, but so a lot of the American presidents have been members of secret societies because it was the only place that they could talk openly about things that were worrying them. So then this sort of like,
the issue I have is with utilizing the term secret society, because we're talking more so gentlemen's clubs and what have you.
Yeah,
I mean there's a lot more weirdness that people associate when you say secret society. No, they're just part of a fucking club.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say secret society. I mean secret society as in it was a club for select people. That was all. It wasn't.
It was secret what happened in them, but the society itself was not a secret.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. Now we have Vegas.
Yeah.
I think Vegas might be a bit too big to count as a secret society.
Oh, I don't know. Is it all men's club? Just think of it.
I think one of the funniest things
the point I was making is that none of them were actually fucking secrets.
Mm.
There was a funny Trump meme that I saw the other day, or phrase that I saw the other day, which was people say they like Trump because he says what he thinks. Well, my arsehole of an uncle says what he thinks. I don't think he'd be any good for being president though.
Oh,
speaking of Trump and what he says, what he thinks. Have you heard the latest that came out of his mouth?
Oi!
I could go down Fifth Avenue, take a gun out, shoot somebody square in the head. I wouldn't lose supporters. It's crazy. It's amazing.
He wouldn't lose a voter. He says wouldn't lose a vote.
Yeah.
Depends on who he shot.
Yeah, if he shot one of his supporters, he'd lose a vote.
Yeah.
That is true.
And I hate to say it, if he shot somebody of color, he'd probably gain votes.
I'm telling you.
Sad.
I like the idea of someone being defined by saying what they think. Like, who the fuck has managed to say something that they don't think?
Oh, come on, Dave. Don't break it down like that.
Mm-hmm.
The irony of it is, I actually think Donald Trump say things that
He got support by the other person that I can't imagine ever had a cognitive thought in her life last week.
Oh, hang on, I got to jump in with something.
You betcha.
Hang on, I got to jump in with something seemingly random based upon a comment that was made out there in chat world. Quote, the same thing will happen no matter which of the puppets they place in office. Well, I generally disagree with that random thinking. I don't think anyone other than Trump would actually put a big neon sign above the White House, renaming it to the Trump White House.
The White House.
The thing about it is, I do think that Trump says things that he doesn't believe, because I think he's a perfect example of a politician. He will say anything to appeal to a voter.
No, that's not what he's doing, though. He's saying anything to cause controversy to stay in the spotlight.
That's right. He is the firm believer in any media is good media.
Yeah.
Troll. He's a troll.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And a psychopath, but that's a different story.
So basically what you're saying is Donald Trump is Brett Kane.
Might as well be.
Yeah. He's going to go on a flagging campaign against other countries.
Well, okay.
You know you're in trouble as a politician when countries are lining up to ban you from coming.
Yeah.
Anyone that's even close to resembling or dissenting voice, he's been throwing out of any of his rallies. There was a woman that went to one of his rallies wearing a T-shirt saying, what was it, salam, I think it is, the hello in Arabic, with the statement, regardless, underneath it just said, I come in peace.
Yeah,
and she was thrown out of his rally. There was another woman that somebody stood up and claimed that she wasn't a supporter, who he had his security throw out, and she's like, I haven't said or done anything.
They just threw out a Sikh, too.
There were a couple reporters that he has this little area that this is where the reporters must sit, and I actually saw footage of him throwing one out for pointing the camera away from Trump toward the crowd. He tried to film the audience for a moment, and they threw them out for that. What the fuck?
Sorry, did they get 1960s William Shatner in? Because William Shatner is quoted of saying that it was in the 80s, yeah, and it was like he was quoted as saying in a movie that like Sulu was being given an order and the camera was on him saying "Aye, sir," and pressing the buttons or whatever, and Shatner kind of made a little bit of a fuss about it, saying that, well, it doesn't seem right. Surely it should be the camera looking at my reaction, listening to him taking my orders.
Yeah, well, that's William Shatner. So,
yeah, he's not that bad anymore.
There's reasons a lot of those people never talk to him other than Spock.
So now that Spock's dead,
Spock is dead now. Yep.
None of them talk to him.
Nope, he just sits alone. Sits at home, all alone.
Well, actually, I think since the passage of Spock, the weight of the needs of the many may have actually been reevaluated.
Yeah, I think he's coming around, but for many years, it's like Scotty, another Canadian, wouldn't talk to him. He had a bit of an ego, that gentleman, but.
The thing you have to bear in mind is that Shatner came from the stage play kind of era.
He did.
More of a stage player, like being the leading man in the show.
Well, I was at Stratford Avonlea, the Stratford Festival, and there are pictures of Shatner on the wall performing on the main stage.
That's where he got his start.
Yep.
Well, like I say, it used to being the leading man. And that has an awful lot of egotism attached to it.
It was just.
So when it comes to TV and movies, it's there are Spock stories and Uhura stories and Shatner stories as well.
I don't know if you guys ever saw him when he played Denny Crane. That was my favorite role of his.
Boston, what was it called?
Boston Legal.
Boston Legal.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those episodes.
Some of the best acting I've ever seen.
Well, I think that whole Denny Crane thing was a parody of his Kirk character, and that's why it worked.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I love the show. Him and James Spader just made magic, and then throwing Candice Bergen in there. Holy shit, that was beautiful. But no, they had a good cast. They all played off each other. I mean, personal problems will always seep in a cast. If there's troubles, it will always come out. eventually. You'll see it. The audience will see it. They had a good cast that worked, and they made magic.
You know, there's an amusing little parody program. You know, Brent Spiner is in Data from Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what was it called? I don't know. He's got a YouTube channel, and in it he plays a character. He plays himself. And a few years ago, he was involved in an incident. We don't know what the incident is, but it ruined his career. I mean, it was so. The incident was so bad that you've got O.J. Simpson. Is it O.J. Simpson?
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. You got O.J. Simpson saying it could have been worse. I could have done a Shatner. I could have done a Spiner. You know, it was that bad. You know, and so it's just a story of him trying to get his career back on. You know, and just. You know, everybody wants to talk about the incident or whatever, and you just can't get away from it. And it's funny, but it's ironic and bad. But it's played very well in that same kind of, you know, he's having almost like a breakdown because he's desperate to get back what he had, but he's just toxic. Everywhere he goes, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's doing a pretty good market on the science fiction convention circuit. Him and Will Wheaton and Geordia LaForge. So that's what those guys do.
Well, even then, they didn't want him. Honestly, he was that toxic that even the fans didn't want him. You know. So it's just amusing, funny stuff. But it's called Fresh Hell. I remembered now. You know.
Where'd I put it? Let's see. Yeah, we got a live one out there in chat.
I'm not actually giving it justice, but it is worth funny. It is worth checking out. It's, like I say, it's called Fresh Hell.
Well, I remember him in Independence Day.
There we go. We got a live one out in chat world, so I've got to do my shtick. So give me a moment, guys, please. Let me get my camera up here. Okay.
Oh, are you getting the hat?
Now, Grim V, just for the sake of your benefit, I would like to let you know the Illuminati does not exist. Okay? It does not exist. There's no such thing. There's no them. Okay? Got it? Now remember that.
Confirmed.
There we go. Had to find my card. Okay.
Yeah, if memory serves, he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, clown card posse.
I don't understand the notion of who does he think it is that's putting all these candidates up there, and it doesn't matter which one wins because they're all being controlled by who? And then, Trump was taught by Jesuits. Okay, so we're now trying to link it back to the Illuminati because the Illuminati was started by the Jesuits, yeah. Actually, the Jesuit comment would actually be trying to link to the Illuminati, whether you said it or not. The Illuminati was a group that existed for 10 years before it was actually disbanded by the king. This goes back to the secret society thing we were mentioning earlier, that none of these supposed secret societies were actually secret at all. The only thing they were secret about might have been who the members were at any given time. But regardless, it existed for 10 years and it was started by a Jesuit monk. Which I can only assume is why you were making a big point of mentioning that there's some kind of Jesuit connection with Trump. Yeah, don't care about the conspiracy crap. Just do not give a shit about that. We don't need grand conspiracies. We do not need any kind of grand conspiracies for a government to be corrupt. People do that perfectly well on their own. Now, do each of the political parties have agendas? Yeah. Are they significantly different from each other? Not so much. But this kind of goes with human nature. People are assholes. People that are in power want to stay in power. They crave power. This is not some grand fucking conspiracy. It's human nature. Get over it.
Yeah. They like so many of us. They want, we want our kids to take on our mantle, to inherit our fortune, and be better than we are. Take it to the next level.
Oh fuck! It's the Freemasons. Oh for fuck. Okay, let's take it to the Freemasons for a moment because this is where it gets fun. I'd like you to know, my father-in-law's a Freemason. Matter of fact,
no.
yeah. One of my wife's coworkers, he technically works for the business next door, but regardless, it's owned by the same people. Had been a Freemason. Now, this whole thing about you have to be above, 32nd level Mason? Those levels don't fucking exist. Just saying. However, my father-in-law that's a Freemason has been out of work for almost a year now. Explain that if your fucking Freemason conspiracy theory is a thing. Fuck off. The Committee of 300 run our countries. Actually, I've heard about that. Now, back in the day when I got my Illuminati membership card, I actually got it. I went down to the hobby store and I got it. It's back in the day, it was sold by Steve Jackson Games, who incidentally was indeed raided by the FBI and a number of other organizations because, it mentioned Illuminati and people are dumb enough to believe that shit. So they were actually raided by the government for putting out these membership kits. And since they were raided by the government, obviously it's true, right? So in any case, went down and got my little Illuminati membership kit, and they actually did have a chart in there that showed the layout of the Illuminati in terms of the priority of who was in charge of what and all this stuff. Now, right near the very top of the organization were spotted owls and baby diapers. So clearly, this 300 you're talking about must be either spotted owls or baby diapers, and I'm curious as to which it is.
It's baby diapers. They rule the world.
Yeah, baby diapers, I'm telling you. It's got to be.
We'll do anything to make that stink stop.
Dude, it explains all the shit that's going on, man.
Baby diapers.
Good grief.
Maybe he meant baby daddies. No?
It was Bristol Palin. All of it's Bristol Palin's fault.
No, it's Obama's fault because, he's the one that did the war for her son to get PTSD and beat the woman.
Incidentally, I would also like to point out, for the sake of our little weirdo in the chat, that I actually do know what the agenda of the Freemasons actually is. As well as the, Southern Star, or I can't think of the name of it right now. The North, what is it called? The something or other star. I know what their agenda is.
Eastern Star?
Eastern Star, thank you. I know what their agenda is as well. They do charity work.
Yep.
They're good at it, too.
Oh no, how insidious.
Yes, how insidious. They're helping people. Ah!
I hate people who help other people.
Yeah, fun shit. Get myself back
Well,
up
I just
there.
had an amusing thing. Just, one of those one of those videos, and you leave a comment, and people just, stuff up practically. And it's about an atheist billboard. Oh, it's terrible. This is awful. It's like, and one of the people on this show talking about it was saying that God's standard of goodness, and it's like, well, God's standard of goodness is rape and slavery and genocide, and I quote the Bible where it says it in Samuel, and the amusing thing about it is, it's like, okay, so, the Adam and Eve thing, God set them up to fail. Why put the tree that in there in the first place, the tree of knowledge in the first place? Why create it? Why create the fruit that must not be eaten? Why not put a fence around it? I don't know. But why create the serpent? Why allow the serpent to speak? Because it's kind of a weird thing for serpents to do. Generally, they don't speak.
Because they don't have the vocal folds to do that.
Yes, indeed. So, and then on top of it, if death didn't exist before the fall, how could they even understand the concept of death when they were told that, if you eat the fruit, they'll die? So
Well, that's because the first thing there was the word. Don't you?
Yeah. You know, and you know, if death didn't exist until the the fruit, how could Adam and Eve even comprehend the concept of death? And I use the analogy. I said, if I was to put you in a cake shop and say you can eat any cake you like, but don't eat any of the minji cake, and you don't know that minji means carrot in Japanese, and you try the carrot cake, it's hardly fair if I punish you for it. Only one conclusion: God set Adam and Eve up to fail. So he set them up. He wanted them to fail, and then punished them for doing what he wanted. And someone came up with a reply saying, "You know why the tree was there? It was free will, choice. God didn't create robots. He created humans that can choose to decide to love and obey him, or disobey and hate him, or not believe him. It's all about free will choice." And I just said, which demonstrates my point exactly. God wanted them to fail. He is described as being omniscient, so he knew what would happen. Yeah.
Sorry, looking at what's going on in the chat, thinking, what the fuck?
I think it's I might be wrong on this, but I think it's the Ananists who say that God, the world that God created, was the best possible world it could be. That the most possible people were saved. So the idea that God set them up to fail, there has to be choice in order for there to be love.
Let's see.
You can't have people who love God if they haven't got a choice to love God.
I don't know. I mean, if you actually take a look at the way that things function within reality, I think the safest thing would be to claim that if God loves anything, it'd be viruses and parasites and fungus and that kind of stuff, because that really is the best constructed organism, so to speak.
Hey, 13. You ever talk to Otherkin?
No. But I got to say, I really wish Otherkin didn't exist for one simple reason. Now, the thing is, I like to give plenty of leeway to people that, have varied issues with their own sexuality. Whether it be that they're trans or whatever.
Identity, more or less.
Yeah, well, this kind of thing that, I identify as this, I identify as that. And, that's fine and dandy, and I understand that there are a lot of people that what they feel cognitively doesn't really match their physiology. But at the same point, when somebody starts going, I'm actually a dragon that was born human by mistake, it makes me look at some of that other stuff and go, well, maybe they're as crazy as the other kin. And I have to throw that thought out because that's bogus and not fair. Because you have, people that, I have this dimorphism issue, and then you have, I think I'm a fucking dragon.
Well, it's almost like the same sort of ideals behind the Native Americans, the spirit of the animal, but thanks to today's technology and Pokemon and all that, it seems they want to take it on as a physicality, as an identity.
I think it'd be nice to have like a nice big fluffy tail that you could sit there and rub up the thigh of the person you're with. But that doesn't mean that I think I'm a fucking cat. Ah, stupid.
I think ever since the Mormonism and Scientology thing, they just had to, increase the crazy. So
well, it's people can't.
The whole "I'm a wolf" or "I'm a dragon" thing, I guess that sort of works for people.
It's just a role play kink taken too far.
Well, sure, but that's like, that's different. I don't walk around and tell people that I'm a werewolf.
It's dumb.
Silly as hell.
It's bad enough. Okay, one of my personal things is you have these people that, my spirit animal's this and my spirit animal's that. Well, I did the shaman thing for a long time, and I followed some of the Native American views pertaining to things. But even back when I was in the midst of that, the people that ran around like, I'm a hippogriff. I'm like, what kind? You're a what? That animal doesn't fucking exist. How can your spirit animal be something that doesn't fucking exist? What's the matter with you? Slap, fuck off.
Mm. Yeah, why is it that none of these people are newts?
Oh yeah,
Oh, they were,
newts.
but they got better.
Yeah, it's always something cool, like either a wolf or a dragon or a leprechaun.
Well, no, there are people who consider them like things like deerkin and squirrelkin.
I'm sorry, but unicorns do exist. There's like, I don't know, a billion of them on Earth.
What?
You mean narwhals?
No, I'm talking about unicorns. They have a horn on the top of their head. Also known
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean like narwhals.
Are we talking about narwhals? Or are we talking about hippos? There's a couple animals that have. Sorry, not hippos, rhinos. I meant.
also known as men.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Men? What?
Men. We are the unicorns, the great horn.
That horn's not on the top of my head. It's somewhere else.
Where you think? Yes, it is.
No, the head is where the brain resides. My brain does not reside there.
I'm so glad you were making a joke, because for a moment...
Yeah.
Pride. You guys are difficult.
I'm so pleased there was a punchline to that joke, because I'm thinking, oh, for fuck's sake. Please don't say unicorns exist. I mean, at first I thought you were going to say... at first I thought you were being serious, and then I thought, oh, she's going to go and say... rhinoceros.
Oh, balls.
Are you getting a call from MakeYourselfStupid.org, Para?
Yeah.
I could be. I don't recognize the number. It sounds looks like the CRS tax scam again.
Oh, lovely.
Fun.
Anyway, I'm going to bug off because I'm starting to feel tired because I went out. My agoraphobia, one of the impacts of it is it leaves me feeling very, very tired when I go out.
Take care of yourself, Cliff.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
Oy vey. You idiot dog.
He's going on about a list of people who supposedly signed something. Blah blah blah. MakeShitUp.org.
You got it. Yes, because clearly these people are Masons in countries where there aren't any Masonic lodges. I'd like to understand how that works. I mean, my big problem with all these idiotic conspiracy theories, my biggest problem, is that it assumes far too much organization and far too much competence within the government of any individual country, regardless of worldwide. I've worked for several government agencies. Not only does the right hand not know what the left is doing, but each expects the other to do the wiping.
The left hand doesn't care what the right hand is doing.
Yeah, all you have to do is work in the public sector to realise there's no competence within the government.
Oh yeah, none fucking whatsoever.
But that's what they want you to think.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it almost seems to stem from people wanting to feel like there's somebody in charge.
Anne? Really?
Wasn't Princess Anne part of the reptilian people?
I don't fucking know.
How will you?
Well,
She looks like it.
I watched an episode this morning of Doctor Who with David Tennant, and they were visiting Queen Victoria, the one with the werewolf.
Oh, yes.
The royal family is a bunch of werewolves.
Yep. That's why they have, was Cassell anemia or something?
Hemophilia.
Yeah, hemophilia.
Hemophilia, thank you. Yes. It's been a while since I've seen that episode.
Which is always that the name of that disease has always been weird to me, because it literally means that they love to bleed. Not that they.
No, it's not that they love to bleed.
Well, that's what philia means.
Actually, I'm going to ask Mr. Grimm to add Skeptic Squirrel to that list, seeing as he is a card-carrying member of the Illuminati.
Yep. And we are not amused.
Matter of fact, as shown in one of his videos, you'll actually find that he's a member of all the different divisions. There's one of him getting the runaround, trying to get through to various divisions. He ends up being passed off to the Servants of Cthulhu at the end. It's kind of a nuisance. Yeah, apparently the Illuminati is in charge of the lag monster that we deal with in so many games. Because, you know, they're out to get you. I mean, the thing is, I get that there's humor in this. The problem is there are people that really believe it. And that's kind of scary. Somebody that believes that they are out to get us, apparently?
He's got to stop watching with, is that the name of the movie with Mel Gibson, Paranoid? What was the name of that movie? Where he plays a tin hat guy?
Grim, the problem... it does have everything to do with my idiotic card. It absolutely does have everything to do with my quote-quote idiotic card, as you put it. You see, Steve Jackson Games, back in the 80s, released Illuminati membership kits. And because there are all these idiots that believe these ridiculous fucking conspiracy theories, the federal government went down there and shut down the game company and actually seized all their computers because clearly they must be in on the conspiracy. It's because of this kind of stupid, ridiculous thought.
Yeah, conspiracy theory, yeah. I remember that movie. Yeah.
It's irrational to think rich folk want to stay rich. Irrelevant. Non sequitur. Try again. Please, by all means, say something rational. I don't think you're capable. Because the Freemasons... Oh, for fuck's sake.
Thank you. Julia Roberts.
Yeah, Julia Roberts, Mel Gibson, and Patrick Stewart. Really good film.
Oh, are they part of the Freemason 300 conspiracy too?
No, they were in the movie.
Conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah.
And interesting, her brother, Eric Roberts, actually has a link to Doctor Who, damn it.
He does.
He was the master on the American attempt at a reboot. Huh? Patrick McGann, great. Eric Roberts, oh, Jesus.
Not so good.
What does incompetence have to do with motive? Damn, he's dumb. Anyway.
Incompetence has to do with not being able to actually fulfill your goal.
Look at Lee go. I never hear her talk, but look at her go.
You know, if five incompetent people got together in a room and decided they were going to take over the world, they wouldn't get too far.
Yeah, every brain has a pinky.
Don't give a fuck what their motive is at that point. They're not going to actually succeed in shit. Please remove head from ass, then drive. Sorry, I probably should be letting the conversation just flow and stop entertaining myself with this idiot.
If you leave that broadcasting, I don't have that up, so but we can talk about other things.
Oh, that's why I have it on the screen inside here. Actually, let me increase the. Let's turn that up, the quality up a touch, so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. Now it should be slightly more legible, but yeah, this is why I have it on my little screen here. You should be able to read it on there.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Now he's going on about something with Hera's sister.
Yeah, I don't have a sister. I have two half-sisters.
Well, if you take them and glue them together, does that make a whole sister?
I wouldn't want to. Talk about extremes.
If you have two half sisters that are Siamese twins, do you then have one sister? Yeah? Can't answer that. Therefore, God.
Oh, sorry, blinking in disbelief.
Weaklings are just not tasty enough. I prefer dumplings.
Green? Give me a score. Where do you think the game's gonna end up?
I reckon one team's gonna win.
Well, it could be a draw.
I'm going for Denver, so I'm trying to figure out what score she's going for. There. don't think she's there anymore.
I'm here.
Yeah. So what do you figure the score is going to be?
Probably like 40 to 15.
I don't think Peyton's got that left in him, unless the defense scores 4 touchdowns.
You didn't ask me who had 40.
Well, you think Carolina's going to get 40?
Yep.
I would love that, but I don't see that either. I mean, those are two very, very good defenses.
I agree, but I think they'll pick them apart. Plus, they have a good offensive line, which is giving.
That's true.
Time to grow.
To me, this is like every 15 years that you get one Super Bowl that's just spectacular. I think this year is going to be one of those games.
I hope you're right and I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I don't see anybody getting more than 21 points unless the defenses start picking Peyton apart. That if you go with that, yeah, because the offenses are both going to be pretty even. Unless Cam's going to have to be spectacular, and it's possible.
You have special teams that are interesting for both sides.
Yeah.
And then you have, the idea of the interception.
Yeah.
Really changing the games.
Yeah. And that's the thing that he did well against New England. I don't think he threw any picks, or if he did, they were like at the end of the game.
No, he just threw that weird lateral.
Yeah, but I think if he can manage the game, they've got a shot. But I don't think I think Carolina is just one touchdown better.
I'm glad you
All I know.
He says he can prove it. Oh,
I heard that.
I want a good game.
Yeah, that's what we all want.
Yeah.
At least he's not a flat earther. I don't think.
Might be
dumb enough to be.
I don't know. I mean, this whole, I don't care how many Freemasons that are, 32nd level, I think. They claim you have to be like over 34th degree Mason or something, which doesn't fucking exist. That's kind of the punchline there.
33 the most you can be?
Yeah, 33 is the highest you can be, but they claim that only people that are only 33rd degree Mason, it's like, there's no such thing, dude. It doesn't exist.
So no one knows it. Fair enough.
Yeah. This is kind of the punchline. It's just like, come on, dude. And I actually know several 33rd degree Masons. And at least one of them is out of work currently. Being a Mason doesn't make him, magic man with money. I know a lot of poor Masons. Shit, dude. So good grief. Wikipedia, committee of 300, right, yeah.
Why is he sounding more and more like Beasley?
There's your evidence right there. A Wikipedia article about what some people believe. Good grief.
The group alleged to be.
Yeah, alleged. Naughty. Clearly, Wikipedia is controlled by the people who run everything, and of course, there's going to be a conspiracy theory on their pages.
Known as the
the Olympians. Oh, fuck. That idiocy of the... Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, definite X-Files.
No, it's not even X-Files worthy. It's not.
No, but I mean,
it's not overly complicated enough.
No, but at the base of X-Files, there's this unknown committee that the Smoking Man goes to, right?
Yeah, the Syndicate.
That's the Syndicate. That's just another name for the Olympians, which is what this idiot's talking about. It's an old trope.
Oh yeah. And then they got killed.
Yeah.
Spoilers. For
Wait, hang on. I've got to ask him, does he actually buy into the Elders of Zion shit?
Oh, gotta wait for that one.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? Like a timeshare thing?
No. The Elders of Zion goes back to a propaganda piece that was released in Russia in order to demonize Jews and make the murdering of them easier.
Yeah. Which was firm in everybody's mind when Hitler came about.
Financial links, man. Yeah, and these financial links are actually really shown. Hell, actually, realistically, in the global economy right now, do you know that I have financial links to the Rockefellers?
Cool.
Matter of fact, all of us probably do.
Ah,
Yeah, we're all in on it.
and we don't even know about it. Ah.
Well, you've probably done a business with a company that's done business with at least one business that's done business with the Rockefellers. And that's as weak a connection as you need for these kind of people.
Don't one of the most oppressed groups of people on the planet actually run everything? Isn't that how it really works?
Oh yeah, obviously.
They're just pretending that they're not run everything.
Well, Jews are very sneaky people.
Well, you have to keep in mind that anyone who's ever shopped at Walmart's in on the conspiracy. Because there's a financial connection there. Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're moving the goalpost because we said the committee didn't exist. But you haven't.
The article doesn't say that it exists. It says that somebody made what, dude. A wiki article that says that somebody theorized that there was 300 people with connections does not mean that this exists, you idiot. It exists.
No, it
Do you
doesn't
concede?
exist.
That wiki article does not say it exists. It doesn't even say that, you moron. Can you read? Do you understand what words mean? By this kind of by this logic, the Society of Corellis Allied Worlds exists, which incidentally is something I made up for my sci-fi. It's called SCA. Based upon your logic, SCA is a real thing and really exists. I mean, come on, dude. The phrase exists, therefore. Wait, the truth, wake up, have breakfast. Yay!
So are we going to talk about anything? Or
I'm sorry, I'm being far too entertained by the chat. We should actually find a real topic.
It's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Oh, it is. But it could be fun playing cat and mouse.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's like trying to talk with Tommy Hall.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun with the Giggle Fest. I need to stop that. Do you have a topic for us so we can stop staring at this idiot's posts?
I'll pick one. Dave, pick a topic.
Oh, my topic is I've got to go lay down, take a nap. So good to see you all. Take care.
Actually, I might see about calling this in a few. I'm starting to lose my voice anyway, quite honestly. Hey, Bohica, how's it going, man? I gotta give him a hard time. I gotta give him a hard time at some point. Yeah, I know he's eating off the attention, but anyway. Oh, I'm actually kind of out of topics. I mean, we did hear that there was another shooting today because apparently we'd gone too many days without one. So it was just time. I don't know if anyone's heard anything about it since, but...
A topic. What do I want to talk about? I'm trying to avoid religion. That's like my main thing.
Oh, dude, I've been basically tired of that for the longest time. I actually...
I'm tired of it. Stand up.
It was probably...
Yeah, I do stand up. I've got a gig on Friday.
Nice. Oh. I remember before I went away, I remember you posted some videos, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've come on quite a lot since then, actually. I run 3 comedy nights now as well in my local town.
Nice.
It's really good. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's such a good laugh. Like, quite literally, but it's so enjoyable too. It's scary as fuck, but
ah, damn it. I'm sorry.
I love it. Fascinating.
Well, I'm glad that's I've been for you because I know you love it.
It's awesome. I'm trying not to just be autobiographical. But I tell you what's really interesting is joke thieves. So I was part of a competition recently, and I didn't win, but the guy who won had stolen his whole set from like 3 different comedians: Jim Gaffigan, Daniel Sloss, and Lee. And but like, a lot of us knew that the jokes weren't his, but we couldn't sort of pinpoint it at the time. But it's joke stealing is a really massive problem in the comedy circuit. A bit because of social media. So like, there's loads of Twitter joke accounts where they just steal people's jokes and then put them on Twitter, and then they monetize based on other people's jokes.
Yeah, I could never be a stand-up comedian because I can't help but use jokes I've heard someone else tell.
There's nothing wrong with borrowing. Well, I mean, there's only so many joke structures and things like that. You know, there's going to be inevitable crossover. People are going to come up with the same jokes.
Yeah.
So, in England, there's a supermarket called Sainsbury's, and they've recently changed their tagline to "Try something different." And I've heard 3 comedians come up with the same type of joke where it's just like, I went to Sainsbury's the other day and it says try something different. So I did a shit in aisle 15. But loads of people have come up with the same.
Yeah, but the difference is they have come up with them themselves, they haven't taken them from somewhere else.
No, but it's joke structures. That's the thing. So like, all jokes follow particular structure. There's like jokes like I find it really hard to come when I masturbate. I guess it's because of all the people staring at me on the bus. So like, obviously, when you think about someone masturbating, you imagine them in the private privacy of their. So that's called like the hide and reveal, and there's loads of jokes like that. And so because of joke structures, you're inevitably gonna come up with similar jokes.
There's only so many topics that most people are gonna know.
Exactly. And then recently in the UK, our Prime Minister got accused of sticking his cock in a dead pig's mouth.
Yeah. So
the comedy circuit for about a month after that was just rammed full of jokes about having sex with a pig. And so loads of people came up with the same jokes there. Loads of people. And there was loads of puns as well, because puns is another one where you're definitely gonna stumble across stuff that other people.
Oh yeah, because the possibilities are even smaller.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It also has to work as a pun.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'm just glad it's working out for you.
I'll tell you what. So I did a gig recently, and it was the fucking weirdest gig I've ever done. So I did a gig in this one venue. It was at a comedy festival, and then I did a gig at another venue where it was about midnight, and the audience were pissed out of their minds, and they didn't even realise there was a comedy gig going on.
Oh.
So it was awful. It was like you really had to fight to get the audience's attention. And this one guy just kept getting heckled, so he never managed to get up through even the setup of a joke, let alone getting a punchline. And he just had an on-stage meltdown, which is a really rare thing to see. Like he just went, fuck this, and threw the microphone on the floor, and then stormed out. But on his way out, he knocked over someone's pint. And of course, he was full of anger, and then he just went, "Oh, sorry about that," and then carried on storming out the. And then I was outside having a fag, and he came up to me and he was like, because he knew that I ran a night. He was like, "Oh, I just want you to know that I'm just not that kind of person normally. I just don't have meltdowns normally. I'm really controlled normally. I just don't have meltdowns. Like, it's not like me at all. It's just fucking." And he basically had a meltdown, explaining that he doesn't normally. That was a really weird gig, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, we have there's a Danish stand-up comedian who is currently on Facebook. He's doing this series where he's interviewing his colleagues about their worst stand-up job they ever had, and one of them, the most recent one, was about so he's just starting out. He's 17, this stand-up comedian, and he and some friend invites him to say, hey, do you wanna come do a gig for us at our Christmas party thing, this boat club. So he goes out there, and it turns out to be it's like in an industrial area, and the people there are like all like pumped up and have tattoos up their necks, and he's sitting there. He's a fatty, skinny person, and sitting there as 17-year-old. And he goes in, and the person who had booked him was too drunk to actually take care of him. So he finds the person who seems to be the least drunk, and sort of, hey, I'm the one who's supposed to stand. Okay, yeah. You can sit down over there. So he goes in the bar and has a drink, and until he realizes that he's supposed to go on after the strippers, no. and he's like, maybe we should turn that around. And he was told to shut up and go and sit back in the bar. So the strippers comes out and they do their thing, and then he's supposed to go do his stand up, and there's no microphone. He's just standing beside the bar, and and has to speak quite loudly. And at some point, two of the drunk guys get into a fight while he's doing it, and then some person, there's like an even larger person who walks up, separates the two, and points at them. You shut up, you keep going. So he did it and got paid in a bit of money and a lump of hash that he then sold and got and ended up actually getting paid.
That's the thing, like a bad gig, when you get paid, it's not so bad, but when you're doing it for experience, fucking hell, sometimes you just think, I don't know if that was worth the experience, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. And you keep going.
Yeah. You shut up. You keep going.
Yeah. One of the other ones he had was was one where he'd already had a career, a fairly big career, but then he was at some like a music awards show thing, and what's it called? The curtain broke on stage, and was broken for half an hour, and it was being broadcast live on television. And so they asked him. He was like leaving, and so but on the way out, they asked him, "Hey, can you do? Can you go and entertain him while we fix this?" So he was too nice to say no, and ended up doing half an hour of stand-up for these people who weren't there to see stand-up and didn't really care and just wanted to get on with the show. And at the end, they had to cut down the curtain, which they didn't realize at that time that curtain was actually like old, like almost antique. So they sort of destroyed it.
That's awful.
And it was broadcast live on television, and after it, and the whole show was like a complete disaster. But after they got, but after sort of some people had seen it, but a lot of people hadn't. So, and it got so popular that they decided to the channel decided to air it in full the next day, just because so many people wanted to see the whole thing go down in flames.
Car crash TV.
Yeah.
I love I love really awkward stuff like that. Like it's just really cringy and just
Yeah, the best part was that they actually ended up realizing that they had the time slot hadn't planned it proper, so they actually had half an hour too little material. So the fact that he went and did the 30 minutes of material actually meant that they could fill out the time slot they had completely.
that's fortunate. And he got a load of airtime because of it, which is really good.
Yeah. Oh, I should make dinner at some point. It's almost 9:30.
It's 8:30 where I am. And I'm
Yeah, you're 1 hour behind me. Wait, won't the chat? I think the chat stays as long as you don't leave the page.
Of course it is. Or if you believe Tommy, tumors are your friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
How do you attract these people? Like, where the fuck are these people coming from?
Yeah, they show up. You can start a hangout, and they will at some point show up.